Good morning. Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at MarketSite is Jill Newman. She's the editor of Muse, and we are going to look at financial matters for women of high net worth. Jill, thank you very much for joining me at MarketSite today. Tell us about the launch of Muse by Rob Report.
Yes, Muse is a print, digital, and experiential brand. We unveiled it with our April issue, a magazine that is geared toward successful and dynamic women.
All right, and let's take a deeper look at some of the stories in the inaugural issue, starting with financial matters and what women need to get what they want from their investment bankers and their financial advisors.
You know, this was an interesting topic because we know women represent 30% of global wealth today. And that number is growing by 7% annually for the foreseeable, the next few years. So we know that they have a lot more power, and they're making choices on, choosing their investment advisor. And in the research we've done, we learned that a lot of women aren't, when they're in whether they're married or in a relationship, they don't always feel like they're spoken to by their investment advisor. So we enlisted a top financial writer, and she did a deep dive into this topic. And some of the important things that came out of it is that before choosing a financial advisor, you really need to do your homework and look at that person, look into their track record, look into things that they're involved with. Does it reflect you as a person, as an investor? And then the second thing is you need to map out a plan with them, which sounds obvious, but you also need to look at what you can accept risk-wise. For some people, they're willing to take a bigger risk, and for others, they're not. So you need to work with that advisor to determine what comfort level you have with risk. And then some of the things that also came up, being a woman, that you might want to include your family, whether it's your partner or your children in this planning, and that everyone has some stake in it. And then additionally, it's important to remember that that financial advisor works for you. So you want to make sure you're getting what you want out of it, and not to be shy or intimidated to put out your values and what matters to you. And then lastly, in our 5-point plan is that a lot of the private wealth firms host small events where you can meet other clients and you can share like-minded views on philanthropy and gain information. There are a lot of people doing interesting things with their money in terms of the type of investment funds or the philanthropic efforts. So that's a great way to build your community and find more like-minded people.
Yeah, it sounds like a fabulous opportunity to network. For sure. Well, it's something else I noticed that was interesting, that there's a growing contingent of female watch collectors. And so what are they looking for in a timepiece? I would imagine it's not just the aesthetics.
No, it's true. And this is interesting. Some of the high-level watch companies, like a Patek Philippe or Audemars Piguet, who are known for creating very complicated watch movements that are, years in the making, and they only produce a few a year. Historically, those have largely been targeted men who have had a great interest, people assimilated to car engines, that a watch movement is like a miniaturized car engine. So that's been the main audience, but increasingly women across fields have an interest in the mechanics in these watches, and owning something that, has historical significance, technological significance, and these are watches that only a few are produced a year, and many of them are 6 figures. So you have to be a real collector and quite knowledgeable to want to pursue these watches, which are not always easy to get.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us at MarketSite, and thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.